All right, welcome back to episode 4 of the CJ2K Show. This week, we're going to talk about the NFL in general throughout the entirety of the podcast. We're going to be breaking down each individual division in the league. We're going to be talking about one player from each team. What are we going to be talking about?
Let's call it the comeback kids across the league. And let's just get right into it. Let's start with the Dolphins, with a big question mark being Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. That's the guy we're focusing on right here.
And with Ryan Tannehill, you're just talking about a guy who's been constantly injured, previously taken in the first round out of A&M, kind of had all that upside. He had the mobility as well as the strong arm. Just kind of hasn't lived up to hype.
And even in moments where he wasn't harped by his injuries, it just never got to the point where we all expected him when he originally
showed flashes.
Yeah,
never put it together.
Like any player at this caliber can show, but nothing consistent. Yeah.
So with them, I mean, we had the ability to go maybe Devontae Parker, but it starts with one person only, especially without Jarvis Landry being there.
Exactly.
They drafted a tight end. They have some things to work with. That team itself has been pretty obliterated. It was, the loss of Sue and everything like that. So the real question is can Ryan Tannehill make a leap forward and make that team not regress?
In moments of losses like that, it does come back to one guy. Devontae Parker is going to get more touches just by proxy of Landry not being there, so he's obviously not the guy that we should be focusing on. Comes back to the starting base, and I think Tannehill is that exact guy. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say he does. I can ask you doesn't. If he does come back and do what we do expect of him, what do we see this Dolphins team doing in the division and in the entire league?
I think with as much as they've lost, if the Dolphins win 6 games, I consider it a success of what I'm expecting them to win. I think a Tannehill success this year would be him starting 16 games and then having anything more touchdowns than picks, and not just taking a step forward, being healthy, like I said, but actually being somewhat of a quality QB. And as you can tell in this video, he's maneuverable in the pocket. Yeah. He can make defenders miss, especially D linemen. And he has the arm. This ball should have been caught by the receiver.
Yeah, he has the arm. That's the thing. He has the arm.
I mean, it was an accurate thrown ball that I think there's definitely tools to work with. I'm curious. I honestly don't believe he can be even a fantasy relevant quarterback. But if he can put his arms and his legs together, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, if I recall, like 4 years ago was QB8. Like everyone was talking about him as a young guy. Like, could he be the next guy?
And have we ever had a situation where a guy comes in, doesn't do what we expect for 2, 3, 4 years, and then does? Have we ever had that jump?
And do they keep getting opportunity?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's going to run out at some point. And this is
the breaking point. This is the breaking point.
So I mean, would you with the Dolphins going 6-10 last year? Are you?
They're definitely can cut that in half and go 3-13 for sure. But let's jump ship. What about next in the division?
We're talking about Bills.
We got the Bills.
Yeah.
With Bills the Bills, they actually just made a trade and got Corey Coleman. So they're adding to the position that we're getting ready to talk about. I have not seen a receiver take over for the Bills in an entire season in a long time.
Yeah.
And
I think that's why they got this guy too, to make that splash.
They kind of traded for a guy who showed so much promise as a rookie, and we're talking about Kelvin Benjamin. We're talking about a guy who's 6'5". He's a big kid. He goes up, gets balls out of the air.
Big,
He has the capabilities to make a bad quarterback look better than he is, and I think we saw that with Cam Newton. I don't think Cam Newton's accurate. I don't think Cam Newton's that great from the pocket.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a guy who made Cam look better than he was.
So barring injuries, what has it been for Kelvin? Well, why hasn't he been able to do what we expected to do? Has it been the lack of a consistent quarterback? If he has someone like Breeze thrown to him,
but I'll be honest, he's not getting that Buffalo.
No, he's not. He's definitely not.
I don't think any quarterback on that roster is going to be better than what they had in Tyrod, and Tyrod couldn't make any receiver there, elite or even our receiver 2, so I don't see Kelvin Benjamin magically being that guy with a worse quarterback.
I don't either. My gut says I don't think he's going to get there.
But he's young and talented. I won't give him that.
He's young,
What about next?
Next we got Pats.
Patriots are a little tougher. That offense has been so loaded.
It was a little bit tougher, to find the guy that we were going to go for.
But with the Pats, it was fairly easy because they did have a guy coming off injury, a vital part.
Right.
So we went with Julian Edelman.
Yes.
Julian Edelman's that guy who's been Tom Brady's go-to for the last 2-3 years. He's the guy who catches your 100 passes a year, and he plays the slot. He plays outside, and he can quite literally take over a football game by touches at the receiver position. There's very few that get as many looks as he does.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think you're looking at a guy who easily jumps back in consideration.
Yeah, I don't
top
think there's a
20
lot
receiver.
of question with it, honestly.
Yeah, jumps directly back into a top 20 receiver.
I agree.
It's can he stay healthy,
Yeah.
and can he get back on Tom Brady's page quickly and effectively?
That's true. Yeah, that could be something that's overlooked. I mean, we're not obviously in the moment and understand what it takes. And obviously, it's easy to expect that Tom Brady and Edelman have a really good chemistry on the field. I don't know, with an injury or something like that. How long does it take to get that back? We'll see. But I don't think it's going to.
Well, and I think we're seeing the Patriots cut multiple receivers, showing a void of confidence in a guy like Edelman.
Right.
You cut Malcolm Mitchell, you cut Jordan Matthews. I mean, if you're going to cut two guys who I thought were going to be cogs in that offense, and that's just showing a nod of confidence. And they're saying, hey, no, listen, Edelman looks healthy. He looks good after this, couple game suspension he's got going on. Yeah. He'll be back at it, and he'll be receiver one again. We'll be fine with the pieces we got. We don't need these other guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Last player in the division, or last team in the division, I apologize, is going to be the Jets.
Jets. So we chose Crowell.
I mean, they kind of revamped a little bit with getting Darnold. They went out and got Crowell. The receiving core actually isn't bad between Anderson and Kearse. So I'm interested.
It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. No.
Definitely playable.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what Crowell can do. He showed flashes for the Browns. He had a much better line with the Browns, and he showed flashes of being a quality running back. He also showed a lot of duds. He was a boomer bust play wise every play.
Right.
It's not like he was consistently churning for 4 yards. He averaged 4 because he had 70.
Right.
So I'm.
And I think for a Jets team that was 5-11 last year, entering the year with I think who we believe is Sam Darnold going to be starting at quarterback. We talked about the receiving core that they have right now. I think with all of those pieces kind of up in the air, the running back spot is where they need to have somebody consistent.
They need success there.
Exactly. So I think Crowell was the
Everyone
obvious
expected
choice.
Powell. I mean, I did, especially after the fantastic end of the year he had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I expected him to take a leap forward as an every down guy, and he's just not. He's not good enough to be an every down guy. He showed that he's electric, and we're seeing this a lot with third down backs.
Yeah, so ideally Crowell comes in and he is that consistency for him, allows Sam Darnold and the receiving core to have that success that they deserve, but
I mean, I think I don't see the Jets being very good this year. To be honest with you, it is the Patriots and a bunch of.
We could see 3 losing records in that division.
Not only 3 losing records, we could see 3 top 10 picks in the same division. I mean, we could honestly. The fact that they have to beat up on each other hurts that, but I honestly think we're talking about 3 teams in the bottom of the pack in the AFC.
I could see bottom 12. I could see all 3 in the bottom 12.
Not quality quarterbacks, not quality defense, not quality skill position player. Like we're just talking about a lack of talent as a whole.
Look at these numbers. I mean, these numbers right here. Their offense and defense ranked
29th and 18th. 18th got worse. It's not like they got better on the defensive end. 28th and 22nd, they didn't get much better on offense. It's like those are all 20ths.
Those all suggest top 10 picks for all 3 of them.
The top 20. I think it's a top 10 pick for all 3 of those teams, and the Pats are just looking to dominate again. Let's move on. So we got the AFC North next.
Yeah.
We'll start with the Ravens, which we picked up a new pickup. They went out and got a free agent who kind of slid under the radar due to some off the field stuff and on the field, kind of a combination of both.
Yeah.
With the Ravens, Willie Snead, he was a guy who kind of came up out of the middle of nowhere for the Saints. Drew Brees loved him, targeted him quite a bit, and he looked very electric at times.
Yeah.
I see a guy who could be really good. The Ravens literally have a brand new receiving core.
Yeah,
like
they
their
really
offense. This season they were like, okay, Flacco has no one to throw to. We're gonna go get Lamar Jackson in the draft. Let's go ahead and go get Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead, Brown from the Cardinals is there now.
Brown,
I mean, we're talking about that's 3
That's
the 3 best receivers are all from different teams. So we're talking about a whole new offense.
Yeah, and I think with those 3 coming in there, it wasn't necessarily an obvious choice as to which receiver we were going to pick. But Crabtree coming off a very good season last season.
Don't expect less.
Exactly, and I don't expect much from John Brown, which is why I think Snead was the obvious.
Crabtree, if he can catch 8 touchdowns this year, it will be 3 years in a row. There's only one receiver active in the NFL who's done that, and that's Antonio Brown. Crabtree's in some elite company with that right there. Wow. He's looking to catch his 8th touchdown in a row this year for 3 years straight. Doesn't happen very often. I think Crabtree's the guy who does it.
Let's say Crabtree does it. Okay, you think he does it. Does Flacco throw him all 8?
Oh, we're throwing me under the bus.
I just want to talk about it.
Yes, Flacco throws all 8.
Okay.
I watched Lamar Jackson preseason. The guy's electric, but accuracy's definitely down currently. Something he needs to work on. Yeah. I don't know if he's quite ready to process an NFL defense. I think it's going to take, realistically, 2 to 3 years. I think you actually might see a Tyrod-esque career with Lamar Jackson, a guy who has the capabilities, kind of is behind, a couple quarterbacks. You see him float around. He finally gets paid because someone wants to try it, and he just stays underloved. And I think he has a lot of talent. I think that's the kind of career we're looking at with Lamar Jackson.
I don't disagree, but at the same time, it's hard for me to say that I think teams would
pass up.
Yeah.
He was a former first rounder.
Like Tyrod has been, You're right. He has been shown some,
no love for a quality quarterback.
But I think Lamar has that, at least entering the league. We'll see in 1, 2, 3 years.
I think once you sit for 2 to 3 years, people forget about you.
You get forgotten.
You're more important at draft day than you are 2 weeks after.
And rightfully so. I mean, it makes sense.
Going next is going to be the Bengals.
Yeah.
With the Bengals, we're talking about a lot of bad teams right now.
Yeah,
we haven't really hit the quality. We haven't hit the quality teams here in the AFC. But with the Bengals, they went 7-9 last year with the 32nd ranked offense. We're talking a bad offense.
They almost split. They almost went 500 with last ranked offense.
Dead last. They almost went 500 with the dead last offense. There's not a whole lot worse you can get if you're the Bengals. No. They had no running game. AJ Green was, the only bright spot on that team, and he was injured for a while. You're talking the Red Rifle is good 1 week and terrible. He's Rex Grossman all over again.
Right.
So we're talking about a team that just needs something to be stable. So we chose the easiest position to be stable, and that's running back.
Yeah.
Mixon, without off the field issues, was considered top tier talent at the running back position at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying he had better skills on the field than Zeke did. And so we're talking about a guy who people really do love in the running back spot. Yeah. He showed very minimal flashes last year.
Oh, my God.
He has a rough O-line.
The whole backfield in general did,
And I'm not sure if he's honestly the best running back.
That's what I was just about to say, is that I think the question is clear that we should be talking about Mixon is because he's the guy that's shown the least. So
but Gio's showed he's the best back time and time again. And with Jeremy Hill going to the Pats, you're talking about, can Mixon hold his job? He's a second rounder. It's not a ton of things. There's not a ton of money locked up in him.
Right.
Can Gio supplant the job? I don't know.
I think he's got the most to prove.
Yeah, but they haven't shown Gio any love either. When Gio was quality a couple years back and he's been hurt. So we're talking, they're just going to, if Mixon can't be stable, that team is going to flutter, and it's not going to be pretty. And this division is getting better while they're getting much worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like there's just been solid indecisiveness when it comes to the Bengals backfield for the last couple of years.
That and a solid indecisiveness on, I think, all parts of that team. Yeah. Whether to rebuild or whether to go for it, they don't know what to do.
Right, yeah. It's like they get caught in the middle and then they end up with it.
And when you're caught in the middle, you don't get good draft picks and you don't get quality talent through the draft, then it's a struggle. Next is one of my, one of the dark horses for I think a lot of people because they made so many changes, and that's the Browns. Yeah. You're talking about 24th and 31st. There's a reason they were 0-16.
Yep.
But and with being 0-16, you acquire some talent.
Exactly. I was just
especially year after year. We're seeing it in the NBA with the 76ers.
Yeah.
I think we're going to witness it this year with the Browns. They finally made some bold moves in the offseason. They didn't sit pat and just pick. They went out and got the quarterback they wanted at 1, which was smart. And they went and got a position of need at 4 with Denzel Ward, who actually reminds me a lot of his guy who played right the year before, and Marshawn Lattimore. I think Denzel Ward's a superstar at corner. I think we're going to see a big difference in the Browns. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut that losses.
I hope so.
I really think an 8-8 team, especially with the Bengals getting worse, and I don't believe the Ravens taking a step forward. I could see the Browns being a 500 team.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Tyrod. I think he has no love. I think that O-line is underrated.
Yeah.
I think they have talent on the outside now with Jarvis Landry coming over. They have a good duo at running back. Carlos Hyde doesn't get enough love. He was RB9 last year in our half-point PPR league.
Right.
Nick Chubb, if it weren't for a catastrophic injury, 2 years ago might have been the best running back in the draft. That defense is, getting a year older. They have a lot of talent. If you were to pick a Madden team, that's the Madden team you're being. I mean, it's as simple as that. We all understand that lingo. And so we picked Josh Gordon for this team.
I think there were plenty of choices that we could have gone with for the Browns,
sure.
But I think in general, as a player with obviously everything that has happened in the past, and with the team he's on, I feel like it was just the best of both worlds that he's the obvious choice for comeback kid.
I mean, and we're talking, we got Hard Knocks coming on them.
Yeah.
And Josh Gordon says, I don't want to be around Hard Knocks. I'm leaving camp. And everyone gets scared that it's another one of those issues.
Right.
I honestly don't believe it's an issue.
I just think it's focused.
And I
when
think
it comes
he
down
finally has put it together and said, I can't be around distractions, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And he took himself out, and he's proven by himself he stays in phenomenal shape.
Yep. That's for sure, yeah.
I mean, we've all seen the pictures.
Doesn't look like he's missed, yeah.
He hasn't missed a workout in years. And he doesn't stop running, too. I mean, and he proved that in the short stint that he was back that he could be effective.
Right.
I think I saw a stat today that he was receiver 21, or, I want to say 21 for those 4 weeks. That's quality. That's a receiver 2 all day.
Coming off of the amount of time that he missed, absolutely.
I think up for him, and I think quarterback play got better.
Yeah.
Whether it's Tyrod or Baker, I don't really care. Quarterback's better than what it was the last 20 years, because that carousel's it's finally over. I think.
I think so too.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not over because we have 2 guys there now.
Right.
But I think we have 2 guys that will finally solidify the job.
One of them will be the answer. Yeah, that's what I think so too.
So let's move on to hands down the division leader last year and hands down the division leader again this year. Too much offensive firepower. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
You can't really...
It wasn't an easy choice.
You can't really pick anyone on that offense because who had a bad year and who's expecting to have a better... I mean, you can't pick AB, you can't pick Bell, you can't pick Juju. He was so good last year.
Right.
So that leaves one guy, and that's Big Ben.
Right.
With Big Ben, you're just talking about a little inconsistent play, and not necessarily inconsistent play I'm worried about. I'm worried about, with this video right here, how many more of these can he take? How many more poundings can he take? You're in a position where you play the Ravens twice a year and you play the Bengals twice a year. The Bengals are dirty, and the Ravens have CJ Mosley and a defense that likes to hit.
It's true.
So how many more of these hits can he take? He's already talked about retirement once.
Yeah.
How many more can he take? Because you don't just flop over when you lose a guy like Big Ben, you don't just hand the reins off to someone else and then pick up where you left.
Right.
A guy like AB takes a step back because he doesn't have a quarterback thrown to him. We witnessed that when Big Ben missed games.
Yeah.
A guy like Le'Veon Bell gets more touches. Can you handle more? He already gets more touches than anyone.
Right.
So it's Big Ben is the big question mark. How much longer can you do it, and how many more of those hits can he take?
And this is my question. Like we said, it wasn't necessarily an easy decision to find somebody on that offense to target.
So
and similar to the Pats in terms of their division makeup and choosing a guy, with the Pats, Edelman, it's not the biggest difference maker. Having a comeback player like Edelman, in which we respect, doesn't make a whole lot of changes to that team and that division as a whole. But the Steelers, in this case, a 13-3 team last year, and with a little, like we talked about, a little bit of his inconsistency last year. Let's say he does clean it up. Let's say he does protect himself and doesn't get himself into those bad situations. Where's the limit for the Pittsburgh Steelers? 3 losses last year.
Their limit is winning the whole thing. Their defense is much improved. They were 3rd and 7 last year.
I haven't looked at their schedule exactly, but
their defense.
Who are they losing to? If they put it all together, that team has the talent to not lose.
100%. They have more offensive firepower than arguably anyone, and that defense is much improved. And it was already 7th last year.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a defense that I think got a lot better this offseason.
Right. Exactly. So
their draft pick was a versatile safety / linebacker.
Yeah.
They went and got Morgan Burnett. They have some guys who can make that Steelers defense be a top 5 defense. And if they're a top 5 defense, that offense is not. You can't stop it.
No, you can't.
You can hope to contain it, but you can't stop it.
No, yeah. It's a battle of can we outscore that team, in that situation.
And let's move to our favorite division, the AFC South. The AFC South is fun because, to be honest with you, it's all about the QBs in this one. We're going right down the line. Quarterbacks 1 through 4, those are the biggest question marks in this division, mostly because depending on quarterback play, just like any division, but especially in this division, you could see the team that finished 4th in the Colts or the Texans be number 1 and vice versa. So that's where we're going to start with. We're going to start with the Texans. We have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so,
he put football on his back.
Yeah.
I
think it was 7 weeks that he was, or was it 6?
5, 6, 7, whatever it was, he was football.
Yeah.
And he was the best player in football.
I think this is one of the biggest questions that's been league-wide during the offseason. I think it's one of the, most rightfully so questions is understanding who is Deshaun Watson as a player. Is what we saw how he is consistently? Did he show up in his first year just the most fiery way possible? Can he sustain that? I don't know. With the division that they play in as a whole, I don't necessarily have anything that overwhelmingly tells me no.
True.
But it's more of a gut thing that with a short sample size of 6 or 7 weeks, I don't think that it's possible for him to maintain what he does for an entire season. With that being said, I think if he does it for the short stint that he did again, or maybe 1 or 2 games more, like we talked about, the Texans could be in the 2 spot and pushing for a wild card thing. It doesn't take much in this division, and while I don't have the most confidence in Deshaun Watson come back and doing what he can the entire season, I kind of hope that we see it a little bit. I don't want him to be a horrible quarterback, but we'll see. I don't know. What do you think?
There's definitely regression to the mean, but with that is his talent's just off the charts. We're talking about a guy who could be the best quarterback in the league. We're talking about a guy who at floor is the 15th best quarterback in the league. So it's not like he's ever going to be bad.
Right.
He proved that last year. There is no bad in Deshaun Watson. He can make some decisions, but I just didn't expect him to sling it like he did. I'm excited for what the Texans can do.
Did not either.
And the one team that I think they're going to be able to beat up on defensively is the one we're going to talk about next, and that's the Colts. Yeah. With Andrew Luck, they're a different team. With Andrew Luck, they hardly missed the playoffs. And with Andrew Luck, players just play better around him.
Yeah.
They finally used the high draft pick and went and got an offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. That'll help Andrew Luck. Hopefully that'll help the run game a little bit. But we're talking about a team that, talent-wise, is one of the worst.
Yeah.
But they also have one of the best talents if he can stay healthy. I don't know what Luck can do after 2 years.
That's my question. Is now if this is one of his normal, small injuries that we've seen from him, comes back, after 1 or 2 weeks, there's not a lot much to question. There's more expectations than question. Now I believe, even last year, if he would have come back last year, I think that the baseline would have been question, not expectation.
Oh.
And it absolutely is now.
There's a fat question in that case.
There's a huge question.
Yes, 100%.
It's so difficult to foresee what he's going to be able to do just because it's been so long. Now we've seen him in practice; he looks good.
Sure, throwing 10 yards.
But yeah, exactly.
I want to see him air it out, and I want to see him land on a shoulder. Can he take it?
Exactly.
There's so many question marks there. It's the team you have to pick to be in last place in that division.
Yeah.
And you don't want to because they have Andrew Luck.
Right.
It's funny how it works. The team that won the division last year is next up.
Yeah.
The team with the worst quarterback in the division.
Yeah.
And it's not even close.
It isn't close. Yeah,
We're talking about a
that
team
you said that. Yeah.
That I was sitting here saying they need to go get Kirk Cousins and they win the Super Bowl, and they were like, no, we trust our quarterback. We trust him completely. And I blew my mind. The Jaguars, they have to rely. You have to rely on a quarterback a little bit. You can't just rely on an amazing defense and a quality run game that they had. And the thing that throws me off the most is the reason why I have the Jags being the biggest regressor. Out of everyone, the team that I think takes a big step back, misses the playoffs, that kind of year, you get him no help.
Right,
you take away his best target, Allen Robinson, and you're like, oh, we'll replace him with Dante Moncrief.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. We'll draft DJ Chark.
You can almost, if you look at the Jags team, you can almost tell yourself, okay, well, with Blake Bortles, who is not good, who does bare minimum of what needs to be done for them to finish 10-6, win the division, and get to the AFC Championship, it makes you wonder, okay, well, this horrible quarterback, if they just make one change, or if he can just do 1 or 2 things better, do they have it? And the question was answered by the lack of what they did, and they hurt themselves on offense. Okay, you took away weapons that the quarterback that isn't good needed to get to where they are.
They went and got no lineman to make a run game better, but you lost a target on the outside, which means more guys are in the box. No lineman helps with a whole nother guy in the field. I don't care who it is.
That offense got worse.
That offense got worse, and if you're 10-6 with that defense. That offense got the big, and they
if the defense stays the same.
If
the defense stays the same,
if the defense stays what it was, that offense got worse, and I just don't see it being the team it was last year. I just can't.
I can see them being straight middle of the road offense. I'm surprised seeing that 6 next to the name on the offensive rank. Just
blew my
based
mind
off
reading
what I know based off what happened last year. So I can see it down to a 15 or a 16, and I could see a 9-7 record still holding, but no playoffs or anything like that.
Going to the team that I obviously pray wins the division, mostly because I'm a homer as a Duck. I want Marcus to be great. I hope everyone in the world wants him to be great because there's no better guy to be good.
Yep.
But I'll be honest with you, he took a big step backwards last year.
Yeah.
something I wasn't expecting. I've never seen him throw as many picks as he has, and neither has anyone else. And he had a bad year. I'll blatantly say it. He had a bad, rough year.
He did.
With that being said, I'm not one to blame coaches, but I don't think he had an offensive mind that was catered to him.
I agree.
And I think we've seen multiple quarterbacks with talent come in the league who have blown up and fell apart because of the lack of talent around. And not only lack of talent around, a lack of willing to be able to play call for their quarterback and scheme towards them. Finally, we have a set of coaches who I think can garner that talent that Marcus brings and bring it to life.
I do too.
And I think they brought in a guy like Dion Lewis who can really help. They're going back to a zone blocking scheme, which will really help because that line is meant for zone blocking. And I honestly think that offense can take a big step forward, and with Vrabel, that defense can take a big step forward in that passing game. I think it could come together for them. And if it comes together for them, I'm not saying they're 13-3.
Right.
But do they win the division? Sure.
Absolutely.
11-5 is very attainable for them.
I think
it's going to be a tough schedule this year because they have a really hard schedule.
Yeah, of course.
But that team could be special.
But this might be the schedule that we're looking for to be able to test exactly what we're talking about right now. I mean, for the first time in a long time.
They're testing early.
They are getting tested early too.
Testing early.
I mean, they made moves on the offensive defensive side of the ball. I believe that they had the most wholesome offseason that as a whole got their team better. I mean, we're looking at a team in terms of talent that can do what the Tennessee Titans did 10 years ago when they did go 13-3 and were beating up on teams in the AFC and the NFC for that matter.
I agree.
I mean, they didn't lose they were, I mean, what were they? They were 13-1 up until the last 2 weeks. I think something like that happened again. I think they have the firepower to do that again. My gut, and this may not be obvious, but my gut says that the defense is going to get the bigger boost. I think Vrabel getting in there as head coach is going to be the biggest thing that we see in terms of change for the Titans. I hope that it's going to be the change with Marcus and the pairing with LaFleur. I hope it's going to be the offense as a whole. I hope it's the entire team. But my gut says that the defense is going to get the bigger boost, that the offense will, of course, get a boost as well, and I think that they win that division easily.
I will be honest with you, the first 9 games for that team,
it's a test.
If they can go over 500, you got to consider a victory. And the reason why I say that is schedule. Dolphins, I think they win. Texans, tough game. Yeah, I know they went 4-12 last year, but if they're healthy, they have Watson back. They're tough.
Yeah.
You got the Jags. They beat them twice last year, but we're also talking about a team with a defense that's absolutely loaded.
Right.
We got the Eagles. Obviously, we all know who the Eagles are.
Right.
We have the Bills, who I think should be an easy win. We have the Ravens. Great defense. We have the Chargers. My Super Bowl dark horse. We got the Cowboys. They're no slouch. And then to top it all off, we have the Patriots. I mean,
and then after that, they do get a break. But you're right. It may not be obvious when you see their record next to their name after week 9, like you said. But I think if they do exit those first 9 games with that record,
you could
it's
see
like
them,
you see an 8-1 or 7-2 next.
You could almost see a run the table the rest of the year. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying you could almost see that because 5-4 would be we're talking if they're 6-3, I'm talking a top 5 team in the NFL.
Yeah.
If we're talking, but however, I could also see a 3-6. I could see a rough start, and that's when I'm like, they're just not there. They're just not ready.
I'm hoping for a 5-4, and I think you can see an 11-5 season out of the Titans this year.
I'm excited. I really hope so. Let's move on to the last AFC. Let's go to the AFC West. Let's start right up with those Broncos. With the AFC West, they had a down year last year.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
They got Case Keenum.
Yeah.
That should help the offense. But I'm going to be honest with you. The biggest help is going to be from Bradley Chubb. Their defense ranked 22nd last year. And when we're talking about 22nd in defense, we're talking about a team who lost defensive talent this year, but drafted Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
So can Bradley Chubb be what they're hoping next to Von Miller? So their secondary that lost, to Talib, can that defense become great again? Because that's where they were great. That's where they were good. It wasn't because of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was the worst quarterback in the league his last year when they won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
right.
They won the Super Bowl with the worst quarterbacking in the league because that defense was just silly.
Absolutely.
And I think they're getting older. I don't know if they can be great again, but if that defense can be 10th, 8th, We're talking about a team
it's going to be
easily
different too. I mean, it's going to be a lot of the front and not a lot of the back end in terms of success, and that's what I think is going to hurt them. I don't know how dominant that defense can be with a pretty hurt secondary.
And I'll go bold. Case Keenum is not as good as he was last year, and the reason why is Case Keenum is only that good because he relied on a defense that is absolutely loaded. And when you can rely on a defense that heavily, it allows your job to be so much easier. So much easier.
Yeah.
I don't see the Broncos taking a big leap. I really don't. I was high on them early in the offseason, and then I realized their division and realized how tough it's going to be to get out of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on them being elite anymore.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Let's go to the team that everyone wants. I think everyone wants to know about. They have so much young talent that is just. I mean, even if we're going fantasy,
they're an exciting team.
You got Tyreek Hill finished 11-5 the last 2 years in our half-point PPR league, and no one values him as a top 12 guy. You got Pat Mahomes, slinger. I don't know.
That's what I'm guessing. I don't know.
Sammy Watkins comes over. Sammy Watkins has been a nobody. You know,
which is why we chose him for the spot. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and you got a guy. And Kareem Hunt, who was obviously electric for first half and the second half, and the start of the first half and the end of the second half, and in the middle he was a dud, but at the start and the finish he was amazing. So we're talking about an offense who has so many question marks.
Yeah,
I just want to see it in action.
I do too. It's going to be an exciting
so much
team.
talent.
Yeah,
but also so many. Just what is going on?
Yeah, and when I think about that team, I think of, like you said, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. I think they're both going to be. I hope they both continue what they're doing. I think they will, despite a different quarterback throwing to them. I think that's honestly going to be better for him with Mahomes throwing to him. But with a young quarterback, you got to have more options. You can't just have one guy to hand the ball off to, one guy to throw the ball to, which is I think why we chose Sammy Watkins in particular.
100%.
Is because he's the guy that needs to step up. They need a solid duo of
What
receivers.
I will say about Sammy Watkins is he's shown success blowing the top off of a defense.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's not his job anymore.
No,
that's Tyreek Hill's job.
Yeah. Which could be in his favor too, you already got another guy doing that.
But I haven't seen him be able to catch the consistent route running passes that a true number one does. He has had success catching 40 and 50-yard touchdowns in this league.
Small flashes.
I don't know. I don't know if he can become the receiver that everyone thought he was going to be when he was drafted so high.
I don't either.
I don't know. And so my biggest question mark is why we picked him. I don't know what to expect.
Make or break year.
Very, and they paid him.
For the outcome of the team. Yeah, they did.
Let's go over my team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Chargers. I mean, 4-3 last year,
Chargers.
And they only were 9-7, and they were 4-3 last year. That's because they had a horrible start, and they absolutely demolished the end of last year.
They did, man. The way that the Chargers finished the year last year, man, it makes the argument that why did who made it as the last?
I'm going to be honest with you. Even with Verrett tearing his ACL in that secondary, they still have the best secondary in football. Arguably, there's a couple teams up there, but I think they have one of the best secondaries in football.
I agree. Yeah.
They have the best pass rushing tandem in football. Their linebacking core has gotten better. It's not the best, but it's gotten better.
Yeah.
And that offense, if Mike Williams takes a step up, who is who we picked.
Exactly.
If Mike Williams steps up and becomes the big target that they need.
If Mike Williams steps up and gets in, receiver 8 at least, what is that team? What is that team?
If they're receiver 8, then they also have receiver 4, 5, and they have running back 5. I don't know how to stop that team.
I know, right?
The big question mark, Hunter Henry went down.
Yeah.
Who steps in at tight end?
Really know. Here's a perfect example. Well, look at the numbers that we have right here next to him. 9-7 record
with 4-3.
And a 4-3 ranked team.
I'm telling you right now, that team could lose. They could be a 13-3 team, and teams would not. I don't want to.
Number one priority on this team, given what happened last year, is going to be the start of the season. Because of what happened last year, is going to be the start of the season. Who knows? The Chargers could start those first 9 games. Just what you're talking about, Titans, they could be the 7-2 team. If they do, I think you're right on track.
I'm telling you right now, this is my Super Bowl pick for right where we're at in season, without seeing really any preseason.
Right.
I mean, sure, we've seen one game. That's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm talking right now. The San Diego Chargers are my Super Bowl favorite, and they are good everywhere. And really good where it matters.
They have what it takes.
If you're talking about building a defense, what's the first thing you want?
A pass rusher.
Okay, what's the second thing you want?
Good secondary, I'd say.
They got both of those. Now, what do you want on offense? A good quality
veteran quarterback, yeah.
Okay.
You want a good run game? And you want to have the guys that the quarterback can throw to.
Oh, weird. They got all of that.
Which is right, which leads right into where we're talking about, yeah.
So my point is I just don't see anyone unseating them in this division.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our last, the Raiders. This is a guy we all expected to be arguably receiver 1 last year. and then was just non-existent. He didn't play
I don't
football.
get it. Yeah.
In week 1, I saw him get like 6 red zone targets in the first half.
Right.
And then he just disappeared from football.
Drop balls.
He was, I mean, there's no better word to describe it. Out of everyone we've talked about this, he was the biggest disappointment all of last year.
Yeah.
And this is Amari Cooper. I'm expecting bigger things from him this year because I don't think a guy of his caliber can be that bad twice.
Right, yeah, I agree.
But again, maybe he just had a good rookie year. Maybe he was Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson was RB4 his rookie year in fantasy, and then non-existent.
Could be. I don't get that feeling, though. You know?
Me either. But maybe Amari Cooper was just really good his rookie year and decided to stop working hard. I don't know what the reason was, but he was bad. He lost track of what football was for a while.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the Raiders receiving core as a whole. I mean, who else does Derek Carr have the choice to throw to?
Martavis Bryant.
Exactly.
Who, just as big of a question mark.
Exactly.
And you have the Jordy Nelson.
Now, think about it like this. If Cooper, now I'm assuming he had the same expectations for himself as everybody else did going into last season, and with Crabtree being the clear number one, not even close, now that he's gone, what kind of fire is lit under Amari Cooper now that they have 2 more guys for him to worry about? Now, is this... I feel like if there is a time for him to think this is my time to do it, it's now. They're bringing in guys because because they need to. This is time for Cooper to step up and be clear.
Let's just say right now, Gruden coming back, getting paid. Yeah. If Gruden says Cooper's my guy, offense is running through him.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't have a monster year, that team is not going anywhere. Yeah. Khalil Mack can be so good, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Their run game isn't elite or even close to. I don't even think it's very good.
No, it's not.
They have a good O-line, but their run game's bad.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch is nothing like he was.
Nope.
Their pass game last year was miserable. I mean, Derek Carr took a big step back. I think if Cooper can step up, it alleviates the whole stress of the offense.
I agree.
I just don't see it happening. I think
you don't.
I think this is that division that everyone looks at like it's so tough because they have so much talent, and it's just Chargers on top. The rest is kind of just eh.
I could see that. I could very well see that. Yeah, I think it's easy to look at this division and think that it is the toughest. But yeah, we could be looking mid-season, and the Raiders and the Broncos are doing nothing. The Chiefs are struggling too.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are the second best team, and that is funny to me because they're so young.
Right. Yeah.
Let's move to the other side.
All right. NFC now.
East. Let's do it.
All right, so we're starting with the Cowboys. I mean,
we'll start with the boys.
Obviously, the run game is nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about here in terms of comeback. In terms of receiving core as a whole, go ahead.
The guy we're picking is a guy who 2 years ago everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
He was the steal of the draft. Mm-hmm. He was what everyone wished they would have got. In this last year, when we saw Zeke not play, we saw a guy look. I'm going to be honest with you, bad.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about bottom tier quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Dak Prescott was. I mean, replacement level.
Yeah, remember he set that record for successful pass attempts with no picks or something like that.
And then all of a sudden
that was gone.
9 interceptions. And he threw 3 touchdowns and 9 picks in those 4 games. He was not good.
Right.
I see that team being. I think they get better defensively than 13. I think they're right around that 10-13 mark. Actually, I think they're still right around that 10-13 mark.
10, yeah.
And that offense, if they have Zeke all year, is probably 10. But I still think they're around 500. I think the 9-7 is a perfect record.
I think so too. Yeah, I don't disagree.
They're not a team you want to play, but they're also not a team you're scared of.
Yeah.
And their receiving game is.
I mean, with Dez gone,
Allen Hurns is actually much better than people give him, and I'm excited for what he can do as a true number one.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Dak Prescott's that good. I don't think he can deliver football as well as he wants.
No Witten, no Dez. Like you said, they got Allen Hurns and this Michael Gallup kid. I don't know. It is the Zeke show, and which is why it needs to be Dak leveling that playing field out.
Dak can't,
it needs to not be the Zeke show. Because if it is, that's easy to catch on to. You know.
I mean, I like to think he could stop Zeke, but that O-line and Zeke are scary together. Yeah. That's why they go 9-7 again.
Right. Yeah.
Dak's not the reason why they do. It's their O-line and Zeke. They're just that good.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the team who, on the NFC side, is considered the one to have the biggest bounce back. We're talking about a team that before last year was talked about possibly a Super Bowl winner. We'll go to Eli Manning as the big X factor for the Giants. I picked them last year as the Chargers this year. I picked them as
Did you?
I was like, oh, they're going to take the biggest leap. They're going to be they could win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They have an elite skill position player all over the field.
Yeah.
They are extremely talented. and they have guys.
Lovely set of receivers, honestly.
I mean, a good set of receivers. You got Saquon now. You have Eli Manning, who's won 2 Super Bowls. You got a defense that has a star corner, a star safety, good linebackers, and arguably the best D line. I mean, they lose JPP, but I mean, still a great D line.
Yeah.
They can't go 3-13 again. If they don't win 8 games this year, I will be shocked.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: since he's the guy we chose, what are we looking for from Eli Manning in order to get them where we're expecting? In order to get them to the 9-7.
Get the ball to the 2 best players you got on the field.
Yeah.
If you can't get the ball to those 2 guys, if OBJ doesn't catch 120 balls this year, it was a fail. He needs the ball as long as he's on the field. And Saquon is a guy who he can demand the football out of the backfield. Yeah. And I'm talking about in the passing game.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
He needs to be catching 60 balls this year. Yeah. I think that's a team to make a big turnaround. The next team is, talent-wise, there's no team better in football right now, and that's the Eagles.
You're not.
Surprisingly, almost 7th in offense, 4th in defense.
That was very surprising. Yeah, I think it was the last 2 weeks of the season that might have brought them down a couple spots, but
they're not going 13-3 again.
I don't think so. I think they take a slight step back. I can see 11-5 or 12-5.
I would even say 11-5,
10-6,
10-6.
Wow.
As talented as they are,
via competition in the division, possibly. Maybe that's. I can see that too.
I don't think the Giants are as bad as they were, and I think the Cowboys are decent enough to maybe steal one. I don't see the Eagles being so dominant again. Everyone's seen what Carson Wentz does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not a surprise anymore.
Yeah, it's more of an expectation.
You can see a defense that has a secondary that I think played out of its mind late last year. I don't think they're as good as they are. I think they will regress as a secondary, and I think they played only as good as their front 7 was because their front 7 was so dominant.
Yeah.
And their front 7 got better because they got Michael Bennett and another year under Barnett's belt. But I just can't. I don't see another 13-3 season. I just can't see it. I also think Carson Wentz played extremely well last year. I could see him struggling a little bit more than he did this year.
I could.
It just kind of is how it works for quarterbacts. Unless you're Aaron Rodgers, you just
for the sake of my fantasy team, I hope he doesn't take a step back. I hope he continues it. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I could see an 11-5 or a 12-4 season. Now, specifically though, with that offense, who do we need to see a step up from to possibly
the guy
improve?
You went and traded for last year to take over the running back role that never did.
That didn't.
JJ needs. I mean, you have such a good O-line. Why can you not run behind that line?
Right.
And I don't think it's because he can't. I think it's because they're the Patriots. They committee it now.
Now, I have nothing against philosophy. Yeah, and I have nothing against a duo backfield or where everyone gets fed. But when JJ comes into the Eagles during the second half of that season, and then you still have Corey Clement taking as many snaps as he was later on, that doesn't need to be necessary. You know. And I think that's
and LeGarrette Blount was still getting touches.
Yeah, that's true.
And Smallwood was getting on the field.
Right.
It's like, how many guys can you have be a committee? And don't get me wrong, if you want to go the Patriots, that's fine. But we won't be drafting any.
Exactly. Now, when you're going to get this guy specifically, that's not what you're looking to have happen.
And JJ, I thought was going to be the guy that just takes over against that great O-line, and then he wasn't.
I don't know if he was in oversight with a tough division.
So the X factor was maybe he just didn't know the playbook well enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he comes out and destroys it this year. He's a guy who could be RB5 this year. He's a guy who could be RB35 this year.
Yeah.
He is the ultimate guess right now.
Yeah, he is.
And then let's go to the guy who.
This team. This might be one of the biggest question marks in the entire league. I don't know.
You don't want to pay a top 5 quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and if you don't want to say he's top 5, he's damn close. He was extremely good the last 3 years. I mean, you're talking they go get a guy like Alex Smith who's a little bit older.
Right.
He's not a guy who's going to take you over the hump by any means. You watched it multiple times with the Chiefs.
No, but he is a veteran at the head spot in that locker room.
But maybe he can teach someone. I mean, they don't have a guy behind him to teach.
No, but
I don't even know how to think about it. You get a steal.
Well, you got receivers that can learn from him too, though. It's
but you get a young guy in Geis who I think is a steal at where they picked him in the draft. I think Geis could be great. I think that O-line is very good, and I think Josh Doxson, our X factor, could become a top 10 receiver in this league, or he could continue to be that kind of injury-prone spark of life that they get every once in a while. I mean, if you watch the video we're going to show you, the guy just makes unreal catches.
He does. He does. I mean, he has the ability.
But how about we don't look like Jameson Williams in college, or Jason Williams in college when you play at Oregon, when you just take a ball off the mask and then you make the one-handed catch over the How about we make some routine plays?
Let's get some consistency. Yeah.
I think he's the kind of guy who has the talent to be very good.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't been very good.
I agree.
Moving on to the NFC North. This one's fun.
This is a fun division. I'm not going to disagree. I like it, yeah.
We're going to start with the worst team, and that's the Bears,
yeah.
who I think have some of the most intrigue because they've revamped everything. Yeah. New coach, new OC, new receiver, new tight end. I mean, what more could you ask for if you're Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah.
You draft who I think was the best defensive player in the draft. That team could be so good. But at the same time, they're still missing some pieces, and they're in a division you just can't be good in.
I know, that's the problem.
What are you going to do?
That's what might be unfair.
You play the Lions twice a year. That defense is too young. They can't stop the Lions twice.
Right.
Then you want to go play Green Bay, who has a healthy Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to stop Green Bay.
Right.
And then to go to the best team in arguably the entire division and play the Vikings twice. That's 6 losses.
That's a tall order for
That's 6 losses.
What, 2 years?
No, I'm telling you right now, that's 6 losses. You don't win a division game.
Oh, they're going 0-6.
I mean, who do you beat?
I mean, I could see a steal from the Lions. You catch the Vikings with an injured
No, not happening.
offense.
Yeah, I mean, they non-existent.
I think it's too easy. I mean, I don't know if you can disagree with anything you're saying, but I mean, losing all 6 division games.
You heard it from me first?
Okay, you're right. I did hear it from you. If it happens, great call.
I like what they're doing. I just don't. I don't think it's there yet. I think they're 2 to 3 years away, and if they can be smart for the next 2 to 3 years and keep doing what they did, we're talking like what Jacksonville did last year. That's what we could be talking about the Bears in 2 years. Mm-hmm. They just subtly kept spending money in free agency and getting guys who were young and
the
talented.
Jags are the first team that comes to mind if you want to talk about a team that doesn't necessarily need to have a specific answer at quarterback for the success to come.
Next is going to be the. First off, we should go over A-Rob.
Yeah, we should talk specifically. Yeah. So now we're looking at an offensive rank of 30th last year with the backfield that we know they have. That I know you're high on.
They had 0 receivers.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Exactly.
Mitchell Trubisky had no one to throw to. Quite literally no one to throw to.
And now he's got a couple that they brought in this year.
You went and got a guy who is an elite target when healthy, and I'm talking. It's a guy that Mitchell Trubisky is going to love to throw to. I mean, any quarterback would love to throw to Allen Robinson.
That's true.
A 6'3" frame who goes and gets footballs. He's savvy.
Somebody that goes up and gets a ball. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he's going to be fun to watch if he can stay healthy. Mitchell Trubisky got himself a fun toy. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree.
Let's move on to the Lions. You went and got a guy who all he does is win Super Bowls. So what can Blunt do for you? I mean, Blunt has won back-to-back.
Yeah.
He goes to a team that is very talented. They have a pretty poor defense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't see it getting much better with what they've done.
A solid receiving core with Matt Stafford throwing home a great fantasy output.
I would almost argue an elite receiving core.
Yeah.
They're under the radar, Marvin Jones and Golden Tate, and now you got Kenny Golladay. And they're under the radar, and they are almost as elite as it gets.
And the backfield was the only thing. When I think of the Lions' backfield, prior to Blunt getting here, I think of the Bengals' backfield with that indecisiveness.
Yeah, I think of Browns quarterbacks just who we going next.
Exactly.
We don't know who's
I
next.
would love for Amir to be a fantastic pass catcher and running back in general.
Hasn't proven it.
Who was the other guy that they had in the backfield last year?
Well, right now they have Kerryon Johnson, who they just signed, and then they got LeGarrette Blount. So now we're talking about 3 guys who you could argue need touches.
Right.
And
Blount, I don't see slowing down. I hope he continues doing what he's doing.
I mean, LeGarrette Blount deserves more touches than he got last year.
Absolutely, yeah. So, with what he did with the touches that he got, he absolutely deserves more. It's kind of makes you think, why didn't he get more? I think the Lions. I'm hoping. I don't think actually. I hope that the Lions.
They have 4 running backs
some
right
sense.
now.
Yeah.
Because I even forgot theoretic.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was trying to remember. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who's in the game. I really don't. It's absolutely mind blowing that they have so many running backs on the roster. Let's move next to a team that was the most disappointing team in all of football last year.
You got an argument there, yeah.
I mean, Green Bay,
based off
26th and 26. Aaron Rodgers goes down. I mean, that team, it's got to rebound. You don't have Aaron Rodgers on your team and you're 7-9. It's just not how it works. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't there last year because he was hurt, but that team doesn't go 7-9 again. There's no way.
No.
They're in the playoffs. They're fighting for a Super Bowl. And that defense is maybe the most underrated defense in all of football. They have talent everywhere.
Yeah, they have the talent.
So, I mean, I picked Randall
So, I mean,
Cobb.
actually, let me ask you that. Before we go to Randall Cobb, what is it about? I mean, it's obvious as to why we can see that 26 next to their name in terms of their offense. Aaron Rodgers not being there. What needs to happen from the defense, real quick, before we get to our guy? So
first off, when Brett Hundley was there, their defense was on the field so much.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got a guy, and Kenny Clark on the defensive line and Daniels on the defensive line,
Yeah.
who are two of the best players in their position.
Yeah.
You got a young secondary that just got better through the draft because that's all they did was go get corners.
Right.
And you got a linebacking core that is very underrated. Martinez can play. I mean, they're very underrated linebacking core, and their D-line's good. And you got a guy like Clay Matthews, who I don't care how old he is and he's just everywhere, all over the field, all the time.
Just a bit of a shock, you know.
And then you have an offense. Who, I'll get back to my guy.
Yeah, let's go back to him. Yeah.
Who we're talking about a guy who's I think averaging I think he's getting drafted as like receiver 41.
Really?
And in the last 4 or 5 years with Aaron Rodgers, receiver 2 has been top 26 every single year.
Yeah.
And Randall Cobb is one of those guys, by the way. I think he was receiver 4 one year. Meaning that Randall Cobb is going to be in for, I think, a big year. He just seems to be the guy that when Aaron Rodgers, who's pretty escapable in the pocket. He maneuvers great. He seems to be the guy that sneaks open on a little slant route where he pushes up the field a little bit.
I agree.
He is that guy.
Yeah.
And I could see a big year from him.
Obviously,
I think Devontae Adams has a monster year with him.
I agree. And having both of those
better.
guys, if they both do exactly what we're thinking, I mean, it goes right back into what
And
we're
I'm not going to
expecting
go
from
the
Packers.
sleepers there because they have some sleepers at receiver that they drafted late and they got late. I think you're going to see 2 or 3 guys step up that are no namers now that will be not household names but will be fantasy football.
And the Packers are not
in the waivers.
new to throwing new guys out there, especially with a quarterback like that throwing to you. No,
agree.
That's something that they do.
And then I think the top dog in the NFC right now. Let's go with the Vikes.
Yeah.
We're talking about a team that just went and got they're the number 1 defense first off.
Yeah.
Then we go out and get a quarterback who is supposed to take us to the next level.
Yep.
And Kirk Cousins, I think, has all the intangibles to do that.
I do too. I absolutely
think he has
do
all
too.
the
And I think
tangibles
now
to
he
do
has
that.
everything that he needs in terms of an offense to do.
The one thing they could use is a better O-line. But right now you have our X factors, Dalvin Cook. He looked amazing through 4 weeks. Then he gets hurt.
Yep.
Can he come back and do what he
Huge
did?
question mark. Huge question mark.
Because if he can come back and do what he did, you ain't stopping Stephon Diggs.
It's a scary team, dude.
And I think Laquan Treadwell, I know that's a crazy name to throw out, but I think Laquan Treadwell as a 3 could be decent.
Yeah. Is he set up for 3?
I think he's fighting for the 3rd spot right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a Kirk Cousins that delivers the football to kind of everyone. And don't forget about Kyle Rudolph in the tight end spot.
Which I think is a perfect segue from what they had last year in terms of how everything was so well divvied up between Diggs, Thielen, and Rudolph. Having a guy like Kirk Cousins, it doesn't change, which is great for that part.
It actually gets better.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we see a big year out of the Vikings. I think Cook is the big X factor because you don't know what you quite get out of him.
You don't know, yeah.
NFC South.
South time.
We'll start right into it with the Falcons.
Phenomenal division.
8th and 8th blows your mind. You would not think that defense was an 8th defense, and you wouldn't think their offense with a 10-6 record in that division would have been that high, in my opinion.
For the numbers, they're under the radar. I mean, that's not the general impression I remember from the Falcons last year.
With that said, you have Matt Ryan, who's a quality quarterback.
Right, yeah. There's
he's
nothing
not
to hate.
elite, but he's quality.
Right.
You have Julio Jones, one of the scariest receivers on any given Sunday. He could be the best player on the field at any time.
Absolutely.
You draft a guy in Calvin Ridley, who I love, and then you have the best running back duo in football, and you have one of the best O-lines in football.
Yeah.
That's a scary offense.
It is.
It got scarier this season.
It is, yeah.
And that defense is getting better and better. De'Aaron Jones, he's an animal at middle. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
That's a
getting
scary
better,
team.
and they're drafting well.
Yeah.
If that Falcons team decides to put it together this year, what they did, in the playoffs 2 years ago, you could see happen again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I expect a little bit more of a run from the Falcons entering the playoffs last year as well.
That's not short.
Biggest question mark though is going to be the backfield as a whole. Which direction are they going? But more specifically, can Devontae Freeman remain in the game? Can he play this game?
I guess my question would be, can he be elite again?
Yeah.
Running back 1 3 years ago, running back 4 or 5 2 years ago, and running back 14 last year.
Mm-hmm.
You see the guy he once was. You see the guy he isn't.
Right.
You see injuries. You just see him be a bulldozer every single play. With as small as he is, can the health stay?
Yeah. How long has Tevin Coleman been there?
Tevin Coleman's been there the last 2 years, and Tevin Coleman's been great. Great backup. I mean, arguably when he starts too, when Devonta Freeman's out, he's a top 8 back.
It remains almost unchanged, which I think is phenomenal for the Falcons as a whole. When they have the ability to get one guy's not there to plug somebody else and continue it. But yeah,
I think Freeman's the biggest question mark just because we don't know about health.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's been just injury prone his entire career. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying last year he was banged up.
Yeah.
And it was worrisome that you get a headache or you get a concussion. You're out 3 weeks.
Yeah, you don't want that, of course. Yeah.
Can't have that in running backs.
No.
They take too many hits.
Yep.
Next is going to be the team I think regresses, and I think the quickest reason to regress is to look right at that defense and offense. 11th and 19th, and they're 11 and 5.
Surprising. Right?
Doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
That offensive rank gets worse. I don't think it gets better.
You think it gets worse than 19?
Yeah, and you want to know why? Because Cam Newton had his on year. He's ready for his off year. Cam Newton's just not accurate enough at the quarterback position to be consistently good.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And I think their defense is just getting older and that window's closing.
Yeah.
I don't see 11 and 5 out of that team. I don't see them to be as good as the Saints, and I don't even see them to be as good as the Falcons.
Right.
I think they're 500 at best this year.
Yeah.
I really do. I think you see them regress quite a bit.
So specifically who we're talking about.
You just have you have your one consistent offensive category, and that's in Greg Olsen. He's been your one consistent player,
right?
Yet he hasn't been able to be elite the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Can he get back on track?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a huge question mark.
He's the one guy that you'll see in the clip. He always seems to find an open seam.
Yeah.
He always just seems to
very smart
field.
Player.
He kind of has his own, not his own route tree, but he gets the option what route he's going to run, and he seems to always pick the seam at the right time. And it's not that he's lost that the last 2 years. It's just that it hasn't been able to been connected on the last 2 years.
Right, yeah.
And the question is, can it come back? Because when that's there, it's vital for that team.
Yeah, when both those ends are hitting,
when they're clicking.
Yeah, and I think another thing to point out too is also the Panthers their backfield. I don't really know. I mean, I'm thinking McCaffrey's going to be the guy. I don't know how they're intending to split C.J. Anderson and McCaffrey based off of the Panthers, recent
past.
Yeah, and how they've been using their backfield in the recent years. It's been a duo, so I'm expecting Anderson to be in there.
It'll be a duo
a lot of the time.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think that's also something to note too. Is where are they going with that?
I think we're going to be talking about the second best team in the NFC, in the Saints.
Yeah.
That offense is too good, and that defense is just so young and so talented and getting so much better.
Yeah.
That defense at 10 is going to be maybe top 5 this year.
Yeah, that number actually surprised me a little bit.
I think it's getting better. Yeah. Marshall Lattimore, another year under his belt. He's an animal. Rankins, another year under his belt. He's getting good. I mean, Williams, the safety, he's getting. I mean, he was his rookie year last year. He could have been in the rookie year. I mean, he's so good.
Yeah.
That team's getting better. And I don't see them slowing down. They have so much firepower.
No, with a backfield that's going to remain consistent, if not even better. Breeze, I don't think is going to in any.
He has a better year. He actually had what you'd consider a down year for Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, yeah, absolutely.
And especially fantasy-wise. I don't think that happens again.
I don't think so either. But besides Mike Thomas, who's going to be the guy that he's throwing to now they don't have Willie Snead?
It's our X factor, and that's Meredith.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Meredith he's played receiver for, this is crazy. In college, he was not a receiver. And in the pros, they turned him into a receiver. He's been a receiver for 3 years, and I saw some serious, when you see a receiver make a move on a ball, he goes up and gets it, and then he immediately makes a move, and you're like, that was fluid and consistent. That's something you learn after 10 years. He has that after 3.
Right.
I don't think Cameron Meredith's a top 20 receiver.
I don't either.
If he's a receiver 25 in fantasy this year, which is not out of the question, he's a steal late rounds.
Yeah.
And I could easily see him being a guy who sits right in that area, 25 or 30.
I could too, and I think that would be a success for him, not
huge.
Like I said, not fantasy-wise, but for the team in general. I think that would give him a little bit more consistency. And then
the biggest mind-blowing stat that we're going to talk here.
The ugly part of the NFC South.
We have a upper class and the very, very low class here with the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
They were 5-11 last year, and I don't get how their offense was ranked number 9. It blows my mind how they had the 9th most yards over any other team. Maybe it's because they were on the field more than anyone else because their defense was so, so bad.
Right.
But that team is it's not good.
It's not good.
They could not win a game this year. Jameis Winston is bad. He's just...
I love that statement.
Jameis Winston is bad. I'm going to leave it at that.
Now, regretfully so, we have him on our X Factor for that reason, though.
I guess if he decides to not be bad, they might win 6 games.
Right. No, when your quarterback's bad, I think it immediately has to be the person that we're in question right now. If your quarterback's decent, you can question his surroundings, but if your quarterback's bad, that's the number one thing you have to focus on.
And it's
no moves made. I was expecting a little bit more, but after all the controversy in this offseason, I was expecting some sort of safety net, because that at some point, just the way he treats his body, the way he runs on the field, he's not going to start 16 games. So who is?
You know who I really thought they were going to go get was Teddy B. As maybe a flyer as a backup. Yeah. But it's just not there anymore.
It's not, yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. It was a quick maybe spurt of how good they could be, and it just wasn't good.
I agree.
All right, last division. The closest to home here. NFC West. We'll start with the Cards. They were 8-8 last year, and their offense and defense rank clearly does not show an 8-8 team.
No.
That is bottom of the pack in both.
Quite the opposite of like the LA Chargers. Like the LA Chargers in reverse with that 500 record, yet horrible. Just like the Chargers with the 500.
I personally see only nothing but better things for this team. Yeah. I think they got the best quarterback in the draft, myself, and Rosen. I think he was the most NFL ready, I should say. Maybe not the best. I think Baker has a lot of talent, and I love his attitude. I mean, a lot of people don't like his attitude, but with what I watched in the Colin Cowherd interview, I see a guy who's not only confident, but he's actually very intelligent. Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe I think something that a lot of people didn't want to say, but I think we're talking about a guy who is very intelligent, and he knows football extremely well, and he seems well liked. I mean, I'm excited to see Hard Knocks.
My teammates,
I'm excited to see if he's well liked or not.
I agree with that.
I mean, I've never heard anything bad out of Oklahoma about him, and that's the kind of guy you'd hear something about,
right?
Especially.
Despite the on-field conduct stuff, which I'm
talking about from a teammate.
Yes, exactly.
You hear that stuff. Like I heard bad stuff about Josh Rosen from teammates.
Exactly.
That's the one question mark I have.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah. I mean, just because we heard everything.
He's just not a player's guy.
Draft time. I mean, we're talking about he's cocky. He doesn't love football as much. I mean, just a lot of things like that came out.
Yeah.
I mean, not even his head coach was like, "Oh, you should draft him. He's the best quarterback in the world." He kind of even threw some questions in there when he was talking about him. So it was kind of a weird scenario.
Yeah.
But he was clearly the best NFL-ready quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And he's going to go into a place and play behind Sam Bradford, who you can actually learn some things from.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Sam Bradford has a lot of things to teach a young quarterback. And I don't think Rosen starts day one. I think it's Sam Bradford's team right now.
Yeah.
And David Johnson healthy again. Larry Fitzgerald.
It doesn't hurt to have Larry Fitzgerald to throw to.
He found a youth fountain.
Yeah.
That team is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And they went and got, that the team's going to be better.
Yeah. I can see a 4 or 5 spot boost in the offensive and defensive ranks. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to jump way up in the rankings, but
I could see maybe a 1-game improvement, but overall,
we see a lot better team consistency-wise.
Yeah.
The Rams, the big shock, the team that I also think might regress just a little bit. They were 11-5 last year.
Yeah.
They were in the upper middle pack in both offense and defense. McVay lit the world on fire, but I'm going to be honest with you. There's only been one coach maybe 2-3 coaches that can sustain that offensive firepower and not get it figured out.
Right.
It was the first year of McVay. It doesn't stick. It just doesn't always stick, and I don't see it.
Yeah, and what if it could be a fantastic mixture of McVay and the floor being there that attributed to the success that the Rams had last year? And who knows, with one of those pieces being gone,
I don't think it can stick. I'm not saying I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not
saying that they don't all of a sudden have the players to do what they just did, but I can see it not piecing together.
I think they win the division barely.
I do too, just in terms of the competition that we're looking at.
I think they sneak the division away from the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think those are the two teams that are fighting for that division.
I agree.
And I think they sneak by and get it. I just don't think they're as elite as what everyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
I think so. We'll see. But I think at the end of the year it showed that maybe they're not quite as elite as we thought they were. They did upgrade that defense. And who is our X factor?
Yeah, so it comes down to Goff.
He took a big step forward after his rookie year.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be misconstrued. We're not trying to take away from the year that he had, but I think it comes down to it can't be a one-year thing. This comeback, these expectations last. It's not a one-year thing. Hey, great, you did it. Sweet, now we forgot about you. Do it again because we think you can. No.
I'll be real.
His
supporting cast made his numbers look a whole lot better than what they were, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of screens, a lot of, I think there was a lot of things that went really, really right this year.
Right.
And most things don't stick that really, really right for you for a long time.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying with Goff. I think Goff's talented. I think he can make a lot of the throws in the book. Can he do it again? I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
There's a lot of question marks in the air with him. And that's why he is listed.
Yeah.
We move to the team that it's the Russell Wilson show. Russell Wilson to Doug Baldwin has been consistent for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's been elite. I mean, I saw
Absolutely
the craziest stat. I'm going to get it wrong. I know I will. You guys will laugh at me. But I think Russell Wilson accounted for 52 of the 53 touchdowns that the Seahawks scored last year on offense.
No.
Just something absolutely absurd. It was the most in Super Bowl era. I mean, he literally was every touchdown but one or two. And it is just, it just shows you how important he is. I think he is the best quarterback in the game. You heard that here. I think he's better than Aaron Rodgers. Okay. I think he's the most important player. If we're talking about a most valuable player, there's no more
for their team and your team's success.
There is no more valuable player than Russell Wilson.
You might be right. I think a good. You throw out Aaron Rodgers in that mix of I'm choosing Russell. Now the Packers went 7-9 with no Aaron Rodgers. I think maybe a true test in deciding who is the MVP.
May win 4 games.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Without Russell Wilson, no. There's nothing else to be hopeful
for. There's no
for.
team without Russell Wilson. He brings it together. With that said, he's not the X factor because he's shown he's elite time and time again.
And I believe that will remain consistent.
The X factor is who's across from Doug Baldwin. You lose Jimmy Graham, who was a red zone threat.
Yeah.
Who can make an impact? Paul Richardson showed I can make an impact last year. Well, you get rid of him in the offseason because you can't pay him. You have a young guy in Tyler Lockett who's proven in the past he's got talent. He's got the ability to catch in traffic. He has some of these things that we love. But
he's got the speed, and his route running is pretty good.
His rookie year, we were expecting big things year 2, and he just kind of didn't show. Mm-hmm. He's going to be receiver 2 on that offense this year. Can he become the guy?
Yeah.
Well, let's end it with the team that most of the
round
NFL
this
is
out
super high on, and that I just can't jump on the bandwagon yet, and that's the 49ers.
I don't know where it's coming from.
They are good. I'm not saying they're not. I think they're definitely headed in the right direction. They're headed in the right way, and
I could see a repeat of last year's record, despite
6-10
being so lopsided in the way they got there.
It's insane.
It'll be more consistent, but I think I could see another 6-9.
Jimmy G's good.
7-9 maybe.
Jimmy G's good, but Jimmy G is not great, and Jimmy G was great the last half of the year.
Yes,
he had some magic to him, and I just, again, like the Rams, it just doesn't stick. It just doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I don't think he is as elite as what he showed at the end of last year. If you want to consider that elite football, and he didn't lose a game, so it was pretty elite.
Yeah.
At 6-10, I don't think the defense is
when
good
we
enough.
look at this team as a whole, and in respects to their conference and their division, I think it's clear to me that the Rams come out of that. There might be a push for some sort of scuffle for second, but when you look at the other division in the league, the NFC North and NFC South, I think 2 teams come out of both of those divisions, leaving only the Rams to come out of this one. So I think it's just going to be a fight to see who can.
I think this team is. I think this is not bottom dwellers, but lower end, the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Teams all the way through except for the Rams. And I think the Rams are like 6th, maybe 7th best.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think you're looking at just a bunch of a dogfight.
It'll be a lopsided playoffs
for like
NFC
18,
for sure.
17, and 20th best.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a kind of not low end, but lower end.
Right.
I just don't think they're that great. I don't think there's a Super Bowl contending team except for the Rams if they decide to put it together. But they got a lot of question marks. They got a lot of talent.
They do.
Marcus Peters, question mark. Ndamukong Suh, question mark. Do you get, Akib Talib, question mark. Do you get the everyday play from those guys like you were getting last year?
Exactly.
I don't know. Those guys they're great, but I just don't know what they bring to the table. But that'll wrap up podcast episode 4. Excited for episode 5. Hopefully this gave an insight of maybe some guys to target, maybe some guys to not target. You know,
exactly.
In drafts. But maybe some lower some expectations on some teams, and maybe hype a couple of them up.
Yeah.
But until next time, you guys have a good. You have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.